Okay. So welcome to episode 6 of the Breaking Bio podcast. Today is Thursday, October 4th, and everybody else can shut up about the date. And I'm your host, Stephen Hamblin from the University of New South Wales. I've got a motley crew with me today. I could use that joke before, but who cares? So, Rafael, you can introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Rafael, PhD student at the University of Akron.
And Morgan.
Hi, I'm Morgan Jackson. I'm an entomologist and PhD student at the University of Guelph in Canada.
Excellent job. And Michael.
Hello, I'm Michael Hortz. I'm a PhD student at the University of Exeter.
Who will be grilling mercilessly about that today. And finally, Bug.
Hi, I'm Bug Girl.
Four out of five isn't bad.
So I got my PhD before any of you were probably born in entomology, and I'm now an evil administrator at an unnamed university in Connecticut.
Well, let's say hello to our new on-air host, Michael. And Michael, why don't you tell us a bit about your PhD and what you're doing right now?
So my PhD is kind of a new program set up by the BBSRC in the UK, where the first year is kind of like a master's degree, or at least a UK master's degree, where I do 2 lab rotations, one with non-PhD supervisors and one with my PhD supervisors, and do some master's modules from the university. The goal of which is to try and get an interdisciplinary grounding for the PhD before you go on to actually start doing your main research work. So at the moment, I'm attempting to do some bioinformatics and some comparative bacterial genomics stuff. But my main PhD research is the genetics and mechanism of insecticide resistance in Drosophila and melanogaster, to do with sexual conflict and transposable elements. We've got a cool little system where there's a hierarchy of about 5 or so transposable elements that are inserting within one another, and they have sex-specific effects, antagonistic effects, where males become really sluggish and poor competitors, whereas females start packing more RNA into their eggs and make them a lot more viable. So I'm trying to find out where those sex-specific effects come from and how they might influence the spread of resistance through populations with different genetic backgrounds. Because that's the plan to start with. I don't know how it's going to develop. We're only a week in at the moment.
All right, and can we get the lay summary for the people in the crowd who aren't evolutionary biologists?
I'm putting insecticide on flies and seeing how well they live.
Excellent.
And you said it's funded by BBC or something like that?
BBSRC. So
Okay.
this may be wrong. It's the British Biotechnology and Science Research Council. I think that's what it stands for. I should probably know, considering they're giving me money to do the research work.
Would have been cooler if it was the BBC.
Yeah, I'd be quite impressed if it was the BBC.
Making a documentary out of your PhD would be pretty sweet. You just have David Attenborough over your shoulder the entire time, just narrating exactly what you're doing. Michael is now using a pipette.
The majestic Drosophila.
So are you the first cohort in this program?
Yeah, I think they might have been set up in other places in the country, but this is the first cohort for the Southwest Doctoral Training Partnership, it's called. So it's a partnership between Bristol, Bath, and Exeter, 3 big universities in the southwest of England. And so there's 5 of us at Exeter starting this year. We're the guinea pigs, essentially.
Did anything specific prompt the creation of this program?
I would imagine, I can't say for certain because I don't know, but I'd imagine it's probably to do with requirements to try and make better PhD graduates, because a big aim of the program is to kind of develop interdisciplinary researchers who are familiar with a lot of techniques and fields before they start their main research, but also because of the funding changes in the UK recently. I'm not sure how aware of you guys are of the funding situation in the UK, but a lot of the research councils, specifically NERC, who fund a lot of biology and ecology type research, have cut back essentially all of their master's funding to focus on PhD students. So I think it's kind of like a strategic plan to kind of wrap master's degrees into PhDs. So they're getting more applicants into PhD programs out of undergrad.
Right. That parallels a lot of what's going on here in the States, where the master's is just slowly being strangled to death. Because everybody's really pressured to go straight into a PhD and just skip the master's altogether.
Yeah.
And I mean, the other guys here can talk about whether my perception and theirs matches up, but a lot of people feel like the master's is a consolation prize. And if you just get a master's, then you weren't good enough to go all the way. Yeah. And from a student development point of view, I think a master's is really awesome because it gives you a year or two to kind of sort things out and get used to graduate school and get used to graduate study and get used to the major change between undergraduate and graduate.
It makes sense to me as somebody who recently completed their master's, well, recently as in a year ago, and then came back for more punishment as a PhD. I can tell you matter of factly that I would not have been ready for a PhD coming out of my master's. Yeah. And that 3-year plus degree ended up teaching me a lot of what I wanted to do and how to do it. So I feel like I'm going to be a lot better prepared for my new PhD than I would have been if I just taken directly into it.
I did a master's too, and it works out well for me because I did it in psych and then I switched to biology for the PhD, so I had time to, figure out what I was doing. But I think you're right, Bug. I think you're right, Bug. I think some people view it as a consolation prize, but I do think it is important. It's been jarring coming over to Australia, and Michael, you'll probably know this because their systems are the same, but the fact that the PhDs here are 3 years and basically limited to 3 years, and they don't do master's programs at all. So you come out of a possibly 3-year undergrad, and you do a 3-year PhD and you're done. Right?
Wow.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, I did a master's before I started my PhD, and I did it in Brazil, and then I came to the US, which is already, very different. Because here you go straight to it's really intense competition, and I've just finished my 3rd year, and if that was my PhD, I'd be done. It would not be a good PhD. and that's coming with the experience of a master's, So
yeah,
I just can't imagine not having a master's and then going straight through to a 3-year only PhD. Like if you're doing any field work and it goes wrong, what do you do?
I think you also look at the different structure within the PhD between, say, the Australian, US, and UK systems. So for the vast majority of PhDs here, you know what your project is going in, so that they'll advertise the PhD with a specific project. Whereas, correct me if I'm wrong, but in America at least, you apply to a program where there's some supervisors who do work you might be interested in, and kind of pick a supervisor in a project and develop your research as you go.
Well, kind of. I would say more often not, because it's mostly grant driven right now. So there are places where you go in and you find you're admitted to the program and they do rotations, which is kind of the way that, and I'm talking about PhD here. So you're admitted into a PhD program, and then they send you through rotations through the different labs to see what projects might be of interest to you. And that's kind of how they've handled that student development piece of someone coming straight from being an undergrad and transitioning. So they give them that kind of transitional year to sort things out and decide who they want to work with. But the majority of PhDs that I see are specific projects funded through a grant. And that's one of the reasons why I think they're sort of skewing towards a PhD is if you have 3 years of funding or 4 years of funding, you want to get a PhD student because that's the most bang for your buck.
Yeah.
You're going to have them longer, and you're going to get more research out of them than you will for a master's student. So I think
that
just in
sounds
terms
like
of
how the structure of mine's trying to be.
There's also, I don't know how it is in the UK and in Australia regarding teaching load and class load. Like, do you guys have to take classes, and do you have to teach classes to get money?
We don't have to teach, but depending on your funding, you might have to demonstrate, which is essentially just being another person in the lab when the undergrads are doing lab activities, so they can ask questions. But I don't think you ever actually lead a class yourself. And then it depends on funding whether you have to do it or not.
You just
I think
kind of
everyone
stand
can train and
around
do it.
and keep them from
you
blowing
just
themselves
kind of wait
up.
until someone asks you a question.
Okay.
Sounds like a teaching assistant sort of thing. Do you
Yeah,
guys have
maybe.
to mark
Maybe
too?
that's what you call it. Yes. So you'll
so
mark
we would call it a teaching assistant.
whatever
here.
module you get assigned to.
Yeah.
I don't know. Teaching assistant here, we take the class on our own. At least in my university.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because I was working for a faculty member that was woefully lame at getting grants. So I taught for years, and I mean, I was doing everything. So you do the syllabus, the grading, everything, but it was a regular income. But that's a 20-hour-a-week commitment.
Yeah. It's like the cheapest labor the university can find.
I thought that was grad students.
Well, grad students that teach. that have to teach to get money.
Grad students. Yeah. Gotcha.
So,
they don't really do that here.
A hot issue right now is unionizing.
Oh.
Our TA authority is unionized, actually, in ours. And it's actually kind of a bit of a pain in the ass. Because if you're applying for TA-ships at our university, there's ranking. So you get union superiority. And so if I were to apply to TA the insect diversity course, and somebody who has already been TAing as a grad student for 3 years and so has maybe 4 or 5 TA-ships under their belt, they would automatically be ranked ahead of me because they've had union superiority over that. It's actually come up a couple of times that I know of where people had to work around this and kind of get jigged out of these things, but it's a bit of a pain in the butt, and I don't really particularly like it. I don't really see. I mean, chances are, if we had no union, my luck, we'd probably get screwed out of dollars an hour. So, but no, it's kind of a pain in the ass, actually, in some regards.
Here in the U.S., it's been primarily about benefits and organizing to get better benefits for students and their dependents. So at the university I used to work at, the graduate students were represented by the Teamsters. So the other thing...
Jimmy Hoffa?
Well, if you ask somebody to work more than their 15 hours a week, then you had to talk to Vinny the Chin, and he would evaluate, what was really going on. But that movement, I mean, I actually supported the unions. It was a pain, and Vinny was scary. But for the most part, it was good because the students got benefits, which, again, when I was in graduate school, walking uphill both ways in the snow with no computers, we did not have anything like health insurance or anything else. So it was much, much better, and I think more humane for students.
Well, old-timey graduate programs.
I prefer ye olde graduate school. But no, I think graduate school is never going to be pleasant. It can be really fun. I mean, I had an awesome time in graduate school, but there are also moments of tremendous despair. And it's not a time when you're particularly financially well off. But I think it's getting better, which I guess is kind of like saying, they've hardly ever hit me anymore. So I think more interdisciplinary programs will get that idea that, no, really, we can share our toys and play together well.
These are academics you're talking about, right?
Yeah, well, they're still going to run with scissors. That's a given.
I mean, I've never heard that likened to anything but herding cats.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. It's honestly, herding cats would be easier because the cats don't stop and go. You got your degree where? What? Really? Huh. Well, I suppose they had to give it to you then.
Oh.
That's
yeah, I mean,
that's brutal.
and also, well, I suppose the only really good thing I could say is I don't have to pick up their poo. It's literal poo, not literal poo.
Just the shit they leave behind afterwards, right?
They leave me a great deal of metaphorical poo. Yes, I have to scoop up. But that's again a given of academia.
I want to come see the undisclosed location at some point. Just to see the big piles of metaphorical poo.
Well, it does have a dairy farm, so some of them are less metaphorical than others.
Egg college for the win.
Shit everywhere.
Distance of the farm.
I always work at an ag school, so there's always a manure lagoon, and someday they will dredge it and find many people that disappeared.
All the PhD
graduate
students that didn't make it.
No.
I hope not.
Once they crossed Vinny the Chin.
Yeah, well, that's right.
And lagoon makes it sound so nice and tranquil.
I know, isn't it a lovely name? And it is fairly nice and tranquil and smelly. But...
Very, very not often disturbed, at least.
Well, most of the time, yeah. For the most part, I mean, honestly, it's been quite a while since any fraternities have thrown anybody in because it's just they know that. Yeah.
So I'm just gonna point out the obvious fact that there's a whole bunch of problems with butt chugging, but they don't have a problem with people throwing undergraduates into a manure lagoon. One of these seems to be a bigger problem than the other.
We should probably provide some context for this.
Yeah.
That might help.
Although there are probably people all over the world right now going, "Oh my God," clicking frantically, "I don't want to know." So there was a student recently in, I think it was Tennessee, I'm not sure, that was hospitalized for butt chugging, which is where you basically pour large quantities of alcohol into your anus, because then it's absorbed directly into your bloodstream and you don't have the liver wasting anything. And so there's been a great deal of discussion in academia, which is one of the things I love about academia. Things will happen that never in a million years could I possibly have imagined that I would have a conversation with someone about butt chugging and risk assessment. there are some
risk
days,
assessment of butt chugging.
Yes. So there's some days you get done and you're just like, well, that was interesting.
I can just imagine like someone getting to the meeting all serious. So today we need to deal with this risk assessment of butt chugging with the most serious face. Like this has become an issue. I am saying these words out loud. This is a real thing.
The obvious question here to me...
It's uncanny how like the meeting that was, yes.
I have to ask though, how do you start? But who's the first butt chugger? Who sees a bunch of alcohol and thinks, you know where that would go good? My ass.
I think
how does that become a thing?
But, I mean, it's basically an enema, right? Is that?
Yes. Sort of a high colonic. Haha. Come on, that was good. Come on.
I'm going to blame the anatomy students on this one, though, because I could just see them being like, wait a minute. If the stomach connects to the liver, the ass doesn't.
Sure, but I don't know if this was an issue, if this ever was in the news here in the U.S., but at least in Brazil, there was a while ago, people were really concerned because people were taking eye shots, like vodka eye shots.
Yeah, that also is happening.
Eye shots.
Yeah.
How does that work?
So you'd get,
pour it in your eye. It's crazy.
Note to everybody listening: do not try any of these techniques
don't
at
do
home.
any of this.
Yeah, not at all. They were having all
We're
these
not
problems.
responsible.
The kids were going blind and all sorts of stuff. It's funny that we have to say this, but pouring alcohol down your eye is probably not the best idea. So it's like all over the news. And it was nothing really impresses me anymore.
Here in the U.S., it's mostly vodka that they were sticking in their eyes. Which, honestly, what?
How is that? That's gotta hurt like a crazy.
And this is the future leaders of our country, everyone.
The strange thing is, both of those acts have been in British TV and film over the past 10 years or so. Yeah.
There you go. There's where the ideas come from.
And yet, another reason why.
Was in a film called Kevin and Perry Go Large. There's a character called Eyeball Paul. He was called Eyeball Paul because he did shots to the eye.
Wow.
I'd like to know. So we've discovered 2 of the possible routes, but what have other people tried and failed at? Like they're sitting there with a funnel in their belly button, going, "This isn't doing anything, guys."
That's how you got
pouring shots down their ears.
Yeah.
Well, this is kind of related, and it's work related. But I know
about this. I can't wait to hear this one. Bring it.
As somebody who works with insects, and a lot of those insects are stored in high percentage ethanol.
Oh boy.
If you sit there over an open vat of like 90% ethanol for like a day or a long day, and you're dealing with it, I have heard tales, and I can't say I've experienced it myself, but I've heard very reliable tales of people by the end of the day feeling pretty drunk just by dealing with these samples. So getting their hands wet with the ethanol, I guess, like subcutaneous at that volume, you get a little bit of passing through and just inhaling it. But apparently some people in some major research institutions that shall remain nameless in the old school were known. Well, he was also known to drink it off the side of the table too. But anyways, there are tales of people actually, literally soaking it up and getting a little bit of a buzz at work.
Wow.
Examples.
If you have a container full of ethanol that have had flies in it for a few months, they're called fly morgues at the lab I was in. After a few months, they start smelling like Christmas pudding, which is the strangest thing.
That makes sense, though. That makes sense.
Probably tastes like Christmas pudding, too.
Can't say that's right.
Wow. See, this is the downside of being a theoretician. I don't get to do weird experiments with lab ethanol.
You could do mathematical modeling. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to publish that paper. That's going into Nature for sure. I didn't even know if we could consider that off the rails or if that was completely on topic for this podcast.
It seems pretty logical to me that we should discuss the nature of graduate school and then immediately segue to butt chugging.
I feel like there should be a Google effect I should be putting on that. It's just that NBC PSA. The more you know.
So don't try butt checking, kids.
Yeah. Nicely played.
For all you listening at home, yes, we discovered that there are sound effects in Google Hangouts, so expect more of that in the future.
Anyone who's just listening to this is going to be very confused.
And this surprises you?
You may notice.
I'm sure everyone who's watching or listening is confused, but for different reasons.
If you keep casting aspersions on our podcasting ability here, you're not going to be invited back.
Well, let's just say Neil deGrasse Tyson wouldn't be running things like this.
Balls, your court, Hamblin.
Hold up the mug, you smug English bastard. We need our sponsorship. Oh, that's going to play well on the audio. Wow. Please tell me you had a topic, Morgan.
Yes.
Well, we could move on to homework. We'll transition from grad students into homework that doesn't include butt chugging and or eye chugging and or orifice.
Please, dear God, take us there.
What kind of homework?
So I got homework last week, and I don't know why I was the one that ended up with homework, because Steven's wife is a freaking elementary school teacher. But I got homework to figure out whether kids these days, learn about feathered dinosaurs and whether they think that's kind of the norm. And so we were saying that feathered dinosaurs are lame, and they were like, maybe we're the only ones that are lame. So if you didn't hear it, go back and check out last week's episode. So here's the answer. Yes, kids these days do learn about feathered dinosaurs and are actually learning that probably most of them were actually feathered, and that's how they view dinosaurs nowadays. So this is straight from the source. I spent 12 hours in a car with a postdoc who's a young father. Well, not a young. He's young, and he has kids, but he's not that kind of creepy young father. Anyways, he's got young kids, is what I'm trying to say here, who are into dinosaurs, and their books and TV shows have actually got feathered dinosaurs in them. So you can put that case to rest. We are the dinosaurs that don't believe in them.
I wonder if the new Jurassic Park will have feathered dinosaurs when it comes out.
Wait,
if only it was directed by George Lucas.
I think they are. Steven Spielberg announced recently they were starting writing a script. I think Brian Sweetek, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, had a post on his blog begging them to have dinosaurs with feathers.
Yeah, Brian is pretty awesome. He's got a new book coming out soon, too, that'll be very good.
But, Steven, you actually found a book. You tweeted me my own homework. Oh. You actually found a book with feathered dinosaurs on the cover, correct?
Yeah. It was actually, how was it? I was in Brisbane, and there was a book there in the museum. I was actually there for an Egyptian mummy exhibit, surprisingly, but they had a book with a feathered dinosaur on the cover. I'm trying to find it. It's called Dinosaur Rocks. So Bug, back in the day, you were there, right? So.
Dude. Pay. You will pay for that. So we can talk about Bug movies. So they're working on Ant-Man, which is going to have Simon Pegg in it. So that sounds promising. Although
is it the Avengers Bug Ant-Man?
Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Oh.
The guy that plays pretty fast and loose with gravity, yes, but can also talk to ants. So.
And he's married to the wasp, right?
Yeah, although I don't know if they're really gonna have that part of the story in it.
Oh, okay.
He can talk to ants.
Yes.
Yeah, he has.
He just stops for a chat, or he can command them to do things for him.
He can command them and also chit chat. Yes.
He can ask nicely.
See, I'm torn because from what I remember of Ant-Man, he was incredibly lame, but Simon Pegg.
I know.
Simon Pegg's amazing.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about the number of bug people on this podcast. We're gonna have to work on that.
We're being outnumbered. Back to the true biodiversity.
Yeah, well, I'm also. I'd also say I'm a behavioral ecologist. So.
Well, that works out then.
And my last paper was a modeling paper, so there you go.
Did you do the model?
Hell no! I had a mathematician do it for me. That's what they're there for. So we we need to model these two insects moving around in space and time, and so make that happen, dude. Yeah.
So I'm guessing you get that a lot, Steve. Dude, model this. Dude, I have this awesome idea. Deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. You get people who come up and say, "Oh, it's totally easy to do this, right?" No, it's really not.
I could hear the spite in your voice.
So, Bug, did we burn any more bridges for you this time? Are we good?
Oh no, I actually at this point I pretty much decided to quit my job. It's making me crazy. So, I mean, come on, seriously, can you guys see? You guys know me. Do I belong in a vice provost office?
If they're talking about butt chugging, then I think you're probably made for the job.
So yeah, it's not my natural habitat. So I'm not too worried. I'll move on to something else.
And you diapause your blog as well, right?
Do what?
You diapause your blog, right?
Yeah. I'm spending most of my time right now frantically trying to get a new job. So
So if you're listening right now and you happen to need somebody with experience in a provost office, behavioral ecology, entomology, and modeling with the help of a mathematician, contact Bug Girl because she is looking for a job.
A bug of many hats.
Also, social media whiz. Just don't expect the lights to be on when you come into the office.
Yeah.
Oh, well, with our 7 viewers, I think we'll be sure to land Bug a job.
So you can't say we're not on the cutting edge.
It's true. Probably the first podcast to talk about butt chugging in academia. So
we should write a paper.
Well, we're talking about interdisciplinary things.
Paper. Absolutely interdisciplinary. Yes.
And if you'd like to be on air,
yes.
Do you have experience with butt chugging? Let us know.
No.
Or perhaps a large novelty mug.
No. That's a very bad idea.
Wow.
Remember what happened to me with the pubic lace, okay?
It's true.
And now I'm going to have to explain that.
That would be most appropriate. Yeah.
I wrote something about pubic lice online, and the people mailed me pubic lice, which I then destroyed. So
how did people mail, like actual slug mail, like physical mail?
It was snail lice mail. Yes.
Lice mail. That is very scary.
In an envelope.
An envelope and a baggie, and give me a second and I can give you, just if you just Google I have pubic lice in my mailbox, that will probably
That's the best Google search ever.
That is not a euphemism. Not a euphemism, okay?
That Google search is not
redirecting to their blog and be really confused.
Butt chugging to pubic lice in the mail. That's breaking bio.
Well, they were purchased on the internet.
Where else?
So, yeah.
What? They were purchased on the internet?
Yeah.
Wait. You can buy pubic lice online and have them delivered to someone's house.
Yes.
So you can gift someone pubic lice on Amazon.
Well, actually.
Seems like it takes the
What's
fun
going on
part
my
out of
wish
it, though.
list?
Actually.
This is a gift. Gift wrap it.
I'm in the middle of a what I guess you could call a pubic lice sting operation.
What is it, a Dateline?
Yes.
Dateline.
To catch a pubic lice.
There's got to be a good sounding for this somewhere.
This is the most surreal thing I've ever heard.
So one of my projects that I'm hoping to have time for, now that I've sloughed off blogging for a while, is following up on this because I bought $40 worth of pubic lice in theory. and it was never delivered. And so now I get to call Visa and explain to them that I need a refund because I didn't get my pubic lice. I am predicting comedy gold.
Oh, for the love of God!
Sorry, I may be confused. Someone sent you pubic lice, and that wasn't enough.
I tried to buy them, and actually, it's a UK firm, which is kind of the problem. So it makes it a bit difficult. But they were supposed to FedEx them, so it would be okay that it was transatlantic.
So how much does $40 get you?
100 lice.
Sorry?
100 crabs, basically. 100 pubic lice.
So I'm kind of scared of asking this, but like, what's
I don't
the
really
actual?
want them. I don't really want them.
No.
I just wanted to know if it was,
Yeah, so that's my question. Like, what's the actual purpose of this website? Like, why would people buy this?
I don't want to give you the name of the place that I'm, too much expose on. But
yeah, we don't want to spoil next week's sponsor.
Yes, exactly. But essentially, the first batch that I got, it was a site called Love Bugs, and it was a fetish thing.
Really?
And yes, it was awesome. Honestly, the guy that ran the site, right? He called himself Lace Baby Vanilla Lice. And it was a fetish. And this was the best part. The tagline of the site: "It's like sea monkeys in your pants."
Oh my God.
Yeah.
There's a rule. I've forgotten what it's called about the internet that states
Rule 42.
No, 43.
If you can imagine,
actually,
42. If you can imagine a fetish,
Yep.
it exists somewhere on the internet.
Yes, there does. Yes. So that was the first. So the first group was a fetish, and the second batch, and there are two different sites that sell them that are for revenge. And so the idea is that you get them, and you have makeup sex with your ex.
Awesome.
I know, isn't it horrible? Well, that's why I want to nail this asshole, because if he's really selling crabs,
no, you don't want to nail this asshole.
Sorry. You kids and your newfangled lingo slang stuff, man. We need to see the perpetrator arrested. He is in fact selling contraband pubic lice, and if he isn't selling contraband pubic lice, then it's going to make a really awesome story. So that's all good.
Did you say there was more than one website?
Yes.
I think that's no monopoly on I like that. But not only is there a website that sells pubic lice, there's a healthy market of websites.
Right.
Oh
just because one of them wasn't delivering, so somebody had to step up, I guess.
Bug, please.
There's a void in the crab market.
Please,
we're going to need a
this has to be a Dateline thing, right? Like, you have to invite them in, and then chase them down the street with the camera, screaming, "Are you selling contraband pubic lice?"
Show us your crabs.
If I can get another job so I can afford a trip to the UK, I will totally do that. So I have a couple of people I know would be happy to help out with that.
Dude, we should kickstart that.
Yeah.
Like, we should. I'm telling you, this is. I would put my money on to see that. Like, I would love to see that.
Well, what would the bonuses be? Like, contribute $20, get your own pubic lice?
It could be like a very sort of an intaglio print, of a bush with lights or something. I mean, something arty though. Something arty. That's the Kickstarter. You gotta
something with taste.
Yeah.
Very tasteful. Very tasteful. So we should. I actually did a whole story about my adventures with purchasing lice online at Science Online last year. It was kind of popular.
It was
I can
awesome.
see that.
I was just watching the Twitter feed of it happening, and my entire Twitter stream just melted down in the sea of, oh my god, crabs. It was all the big name science communicators were just like, what the hell?
Oh, seriously,
Just
that was
all at
actually
once.
the
And then I
best-
was like, oh, bug
best part of
girls
it, man.
online.
Yeah, it was, we're sitting right in front of me. I've got David Dobbs, I've got Carl Zimmer, I've got Ed Young. I can't remember her name, but she wrote the Poisoner's Bible. Dang it, Deborah Bloom. And so all of these amazing authors are sitting on the table right smack in front of me, and I'm talking about crabs, and their faces are just like...
That's pretty good if you manage Carl Zimmer, the author of Parasite Rex, to come up with that.
Yeah. Well, okay. We tried to end it before, but I think pubic lice is a good note to go out on.
Yes, let's.
Well, that was episode 6 of the Breaking Bio podcast. So thanks for joining me, Bug, Michael, Morgan, Rafael, and we'll see you all next time when we talk about pubic lice and body waxing. Say goodbye to the people.
Thanks for listening.